Hello and welcome to episode 65 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet and making all the things here in northwest London. You can find me on Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab on Ravelry, you will find our group right there. There will also be a chatter thread in said group about this podcast, so if there's anything you want to chatter about, that is the place to do it. I will put quick links to everything I mention just down below, but if you would like juicier show notes, there's a link down there to my blog where you will find those. As always, a big thank you. Thank you if you are a new viewer. I really appreciate you giving the podcast a shot. It means a lot to me. I know there are plenty of other podcasts out there, so I really genuinely appreciate you having a look at this one and going, let's give it a go. I hope you enjoy it. And to my returning viewers, goodness knows why, but thank you for coming back every, I was going to say week, but every episode. As you can probably tell, I'm in a little bit of a mood today. I'm going to apologise firstly for the light. It is definitely that time of year where lighting is a struggle. I have my overhead light on. I have a light behind me, which I always use no matter the time of year. I think it's called a fill light, so that you don't get all the shadows. I've got all of my windows, curtains even open, and I've got my studio lights, and it still looks a little bit, I don't know, atmospheric, shall we say, because it is absolutely pouring out. It has been pouring all day. I was going to podcast this morning, but when I woke up it was very grey. It was one of those days where the sky was completely white and it was raining, and I thought, okay, I'll leave it till lunchtime just to see if it brightens up. It can't get any worse. And of course it didn't brighten up. So here we are at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm now wondering if I have enough light before it gets dark. So well done, Nikki. Fantastic planning. You wouldn't know that planning was my jam, but there we go. Apologies for the lighting. Today's tea is, I'm going to tell you what it is and then I'm going to apologise for my tea. It is a Fortnum & Mason tea, and it's called Royal Blend, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. But because I was so aware of the light, I got it all set up, all ready to go, and then I ran downstairs to make my cup of tea, and in my haste to make my tea, I split the tea bag. So there are some loose leaves floating around. I managed to catch most of it, but when I'm done, I just really hope that I don't find the grim in the bottom of my mug. This is the tea that I am drinking. This is, as I said, Fortnum & Mason, which is a very, very posh food shop in London. I don't know if they have branches anywhere else around the country. It's the kind of place that I like to pop into every other year and just wander around feeling a little bit like Oliver Twist, little match girl, just kind of going wow at all the ridiculously expensive things. I popped in with a friend of mine who was purchasing gifts for family members. She was going on holiday to see them, so she was buying some stuff there, and I went around the tea section because that's the gifts she was giving, and they have little jars of all their tea so you can smell them, which I think gives a really good indication of whether you're going to enjoy drinking them. And I smelt this one, which is Royal Blend. This is one that I kept going back to and sniffing, and I decided to treat myself. This is very much a treat tea. It cost me about £7, I think it was £6.95, and there are only 15 bags in here, but it is beautiful and delicious, and I really, really enjoy it, and I would definitely treat myself to this again. I will admit it's pretty much empty, and I'm quite proud of myself for that, because I do have a tendency to keep certain things for best and for you know, an event or a reason, and these I have just really been enjoying. I've had about one a day, and the only kind of best that I keep it for is for a time in the day when I'm able to sit and savour it. So I don't have it as like sat at my desk working tea. I have it for lunch break tea, or I've just finished for the day, so I'm going to sit here and savour a cup of tea before I go to the gym or before I cook my dinner. So that is the only kind of saving it that I've done, and I'm quite proud of myself for that, because it's a lot of money to spend if you're not going to drink it. It is, I'm just going to read you a little bit off the back of the box, because why is it called Royal Blend? I know that you're all dying to know why it's called Royal Blend. It was actually first blended for King Edward VII in the summer of 1902, and it has been popular ever since for its smooth and honey-like flavour. And I would agree with that. It is very smooth, it is delicate, but not... Sometimes we say delicate and we mean the flavour is a little bit pastel. Meaning it's not really there, and I don't like those teas. I like teas with a really good full-bodied flavour, and while I would still call this delicate, it does have an oomph to it as well. I wouldn't call it pastel. God, I'm articulate about tea flavouring, aren't I? But yeah, if you do ever come to London, I would recommend a trip to Fortnum's. Even if you don't buy anything, it is incredible just to wander around. It is a posh supermarket, and I know that there are some people, probably the Queen, for example, who do their like weekly shop there, which is mad. And I really like going there and having a look, and I will probably go back and just saunter around their tea section again, look at £40 tea strainers, because why not? And yeah, I will definitely buy this again because it smells really good. Tastes better. I do have it with milk. I have the tiniest drop of milk. You know I'm not a big fan of milky tea, but I have also had it black, and it tastes beautiful both ways. Well, now that I've banged on and on and on about delicious royal tea, royalty, more dad jokes. Let's move on to the podcast proper and move into Whipped Up. We are going to kick off this week with a hoe. I really wanted to have a faux. It didn't quite happen for various reasons, but I do have a hoe. And here it is. This is my latest addition to my Christmas box of socks. This is West Yorkshire Singers. I was doing so well. It's been weeks since I made a mess of that. West Yorkshire Spinners. This is West Yorkshire Spinners. Hey. This is their signature 4-ply in this year's Christmas colourway, which is Robin. And as you can see, it's got beautiful stripes. It's self-striping yarn with each stripe broken up by this kind of mottly brown and white stripe. I used cayenne pepper because I have a massive ball of it, and I use that for heels, toes and cuffs. And because it's a robin, it felt like, you know, of course it had to be red, of course. I really love this. I'm so proud of myself. As soon as it was finished, I wove in the ends before I even put it down, and I blocked it the next day, and I think it looks gorgeous. It is not traditional Christmas at all. I know that Amy Florence, who inspired me to start my Christmas box of socks, of which this is number 4 that I've cast on, 3 that is like finished. I have 2 finished pairs, and this is the first half of my 3rd finished pair. And I know that Amy prefers very traditional Christmas colourways, so like red, white and green. But I don't know, I feel like this is Christmassy. I think it is the bright red that is winning me over. And the kind of cream and the red, and the fact that I know it's a robin. So this will go into my Christmas box of socks, and I am very happy with it. I did have some issues with fit on this because I was trying to get a good rhythm with the stripes. So as you can see, I've put the heel in just here where there was the mottly kind of stripe, so that kind of helped the stripes continue in a really nice even way. And I originally stopped the yarn at the red, and I just did the kind of mottly stripe as I had here and was ready to put the toe in. But then I thought the toe looked way too long, because as you can imagine, whoops, the toe started here where this blue is, and it was just too much toe. So I pulled that out and I carried on with the striped, the robin striped yarn, and then I put the toe in. So obviously I'm not going to have that issue with the second one because I've already worked it out on this one. Speaking of second socks, there is no second sock syndrome here. Living in my cat in the bag, along with another project, which we'll come to, I have got my second sock. Ta-da! As you can see, getting there, nearly done. I've done the leg, heel, I'm just working on the gusset decreases. These will fly along. The first one flew off the needles, let's be honest, so this one I'm assuming will do the same. So hoping to have that done by the next time we podcast, and that will be a complete set of 3 for my box of socks. I really love this yarn. I'm very happy with how it's knit up. Happy to include it in my Christmas box of socks. I'm happy generally with West Yorkshire Spinners. I think it's a really beautiful yarn. Their colours are really interesting. I'm looking forward to making their Kingfisher socks as soon as I've kind of got the Christmas out of my system. So maybe I'll pick those up in spring. I think that having some of their solids is a really good investment. I've used so much of this red and I've got tons of it left. Hang on. I've got loads of this. So this is just going to go into my stash drawers, which are here, and will be picked up whenever I have some socks ready for some red. And I would even use this with hand dyed. It's a slightly toothier texture than my merino nylons that I've got in hand dyed. But I kind of think for the parts of the sock that are going to get the most wear, like the heel and the toe, which, you know, your toes move as you're walking, right? That's the thing, like they grip and they like rub against your shoe, right? I'm saying that out loud and it sounds bonkers, and in my head it made sense, but I hope you know what I mean. It feels like a good idea to have kind of a sturdier feeling yarn for that, and I love it. Love red. Red does not love me, and that's why I wear it on my feet. So that is my hose. No faux, but hose. I'm hoping, as I say, to make that hoe a faux next time. But next up, I have been working on my bittersweet jumper. Now, you may recall that I said something very silly and out of character in the last episode where I said, I'm going to get this done for Christmas, to wear as my Christmas Day jumper. And in true Nikki form, the moment I put a deadline on it, the moment I said I'm going to have it done by X point, I went, don't want to work on it anymore. I know this. As soon as I said it, I was like, why have I said that? That was stupid. But I said it anyway, and there we are. However, I did get a little bit of work done on it. It is small enough to be carry-about knitting at the moment, so I've taken it with me a few times, and I got roped into watching the rugby last weekend. I am very much more of a football girl. I will sit and watch the World Cup. I will sit and watch my team, QPR. They're not doing very well. They're doing okay. But I'm not really a rugby fan. I don't really understand it. I think it's great that England are doing so well. I don't understand how, why, or if that is a shock or we were expecting that. But anyway, I took it along with me and I did some work on it. So I have started, it looks tiny. Why does it look so small? I have started the raglan increases, and this is, as I said, the Bittersweet by Vera Valimaki, and it is knit out of the Yarn Collective Bloomsbury DK in their Moss colourway. And as you can see, it is on holders. I've taken the needles out, and we'll come to why shortly on another project. But I have started. It does go over my head, I did check. And it is lovely, and I do love the moss stitch texture. Is this moss stitch or is this seed stitch? I've always thought they were the same thing, but I'm not sure. So we're going to call this moss stitch. It's very nice. It's very nice and green because it's moss. And I'm really enjoying how it knits up. However, I do have to look at the pattern a lot for the raglan increases, and that is what is making me slow down, because obviously it is very busy life that I do lead, sadly. Frustratingly, a lot of my knitting gets done when I'm out and about. So if I'm at a pub with friends or whatever, I will do a lot of knitting then. So socks is ideal. The body of this will be ideal, but I'm not there yet. So finding the time to kind of sit and get through the raglan increases is it's a bit of a struggle. I'm hoping to find some time this weekend to do a bunch of them, and then it will become social knitting is what I want to call it. So I'm working on it, we're getting there. I still would love to have it for Christmas because it is the most Christmassy tree green, but we will see. I'm working on it though, little by little, slow and steady. And those that you can see dangling from here, the stitch markers are actually my Katrinkles Stitches West. So I've got like a little jumper, a little sock with a tram on it from San Francisco. So that's also quite a nice little addition to my project. As I said in the last episode, I will be using the helical knitting technique, which I've never used before. But I did watch Grace of the Babbles Travelling Yarn podcast. I did watch her jogless join video, which I think is what she's called her helical how-to video, which, does that make sense? I'm sure it makes sense. You know what I mean. But I have watched it and was surprised by how simple it was. So I will be doing that. I'm just not doing it yet because, as I said, doing increases and following that and trying to do the helical knitting is just a bit much. And I think as long as I do alternate them, it doesn't really matter where I start. So I'm going to get past the raglan increases and then start alternating for the body. And hopefully that will work. I'm also thinking that I need to get another skein because I have gone up a size, and that has pushed me into like the brackets where it says how many skeins you need. It's gone like 3, 4, 5, and now I'm at 5. I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm not too worried about it selling out or anything like that. I might check in regularly just to see if there's a sale on. So I will pick up another skein and I'll make a hat out of what's left over. You know I love a hat. While we're on the subject of hats, the other project living in my cat in the bag, I actually frogged this morning, which I'm now regretting because I kind of wish I'd waited to frog it since I didn't cast it on straight away again, to show you. I am using this beautiful yarn. This is a Busy Life yarn. It is the Roasted Marshmallow colourway, and this was sent to me as part of the Summer of Socks cow. The lovely Ninette of A Busy Life contacted me to provide a prize for the Summer of Socks cow, which was beautiful. I think it was called Grandad Tree or Granddaddy Tree. Beautiful sock yarn, and she included a skein of DK for me. So this is the DK weight yarn, and it has been haunting me for ages because I want a new hat. Now, the hat that I knit earlier this year, before I went away to Munich, was the Fiona Alice, it was from Take Heart. It's the Caswell Bay hat, I've just checked. And I love that. I think it looks beautiful, but it is very, very close fitting. And I tend to wear hats that have a bit more kind of fabric in the back, so that if I want to, it's raining like it is now, I can tuck my hair inside and there's plenty of room, and it's not, if I do wear my hair down, it's not just sitting really close to my head, because then when I pull it off, it just all goes poof. So I like having a bit more room in there. So I don't wear it as much as I thought I would for that reason. So I thought I would love a new hat. This is a gorgeous neutral, because it is quite creamy and there's like spots of dark like brown and grey and rust. So it's an interesting neutral, and I thought this would be perfect for a hat. So I had a little look. I considered knitting the pattern that my nan has used to knit my grey hats. They are knit flat, so I thought maybe it would be a nice challenge to have a go. I've never converted anything before from flat to in the round, so maybe this will be a nice opportunity to try doing that. But she couldn't find the pattern. She wasn't sure where she'd put it, and I thought, well, I'll just have a quick flick through Ravelry and see if there's anything else that catches my eye. And something did, and that is the Onion Johnny's pattern, which is by Soline Leroux, which I'm hoping I've pronounced correctly, but my French leaves a great deal to be desired. It is an absolutely beautiful hat. As I said, it has got more fabric, I guess you'd call it a beret style, and it has got one cable. So it's nice and simple, so you only have to kind of think for that one little repeat. So I cast it on, and I got to about halfway through the second repeat of the cable section, and I just didn't like it, and I pulled it out. And again, I wish that I hadn't, because then I could show you exactly why. Now, it's the second time I pulled it out. The first time I did, I had done the ribbing, and I was just not very happy because I don't know if you get this, but sometimes my ribbing looks a little bit slack and not as neat as it could. And it was annoying me because it's going to be right there on my face. And I can be a little bit of a perfectionist. So I remembered that Truly Myrtle, who is Libby Johnson, I think is her surname. She does a wonderful newsletter, and I remember in one of her most recent ones, she had spoken about this exact problem, having that kind of like saggy ribbing, saggy kind of knit stitches on your ribbing. So I looked it up and I started using her advice, which was to purl in a different way. And I believe the way she defines it in the blog post, which I will link to just down below because I'm not going to do this justice, she explains it beautifully with pictures. So I do recommend you having a look if you have this problem. And she recommended knitting west but purling east, meaning in the Eastern European style. And I found that worked beautifully and my rib came out perfect. I was very happy. I also, of course, went down a needle size, which the pattern I don't think calls for that. I can't remember if it does, don't quote me on that, but I did go down a needle size. Anyway, because it worked so well for the rib, I decided, well, I'm just going to purl like this for the rest of the hat. And I just found it didn't quite work. And as I kind of, it took a little while to see, because obviously I had to wait for the pattern to grow. And then as I looked at the cable panel, I noticed that the pearl edges, so you've got this knit hat, and then the pearls, and then the cable. And I noticed that they just looked a bit loose and saggy and wide, and I didn't like it. So I pulled it out. That is why I pulled it out. Before I pulled it out, I took it off the needle and I tried it on, and I found it was also a little bit tight. Maybe I've got a big head. I always thought I had an average to small sized head, but I think for this pattern I got a big head. So I'm going to cast it on again because I love this pattern. I think it's a perfect fit for this. The cable looked gorgeous. It's going to look lovely. I desperately want it. But I'm glad I pulled it out because the fit would not have been quite right. I was knitting the largest size in the pattern. I'm going to figure out how to make it a bit bigger. I say figure out, it shouldn't be that difficult because as I say, it's only got one cable section. So it should be fine. Wish me luck. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to do with that. So hopefully next time I will have a nice finished hat for you. One thing I will say is I didn't think that I was going to have enough yarn, because when I read the pattern, it requires 30 yards more than was in this skein. And I posted about this and I had a few comments, people saying, no, you're definitely going to have enough. And then I remembered that I had this same issue with the Caswell Bay hat, and I think, and I could be stating the blindingly obvious here, and I do apologise if I am, but I think that what pattern designers tend to do is put down, it was knit in X and this is the yardage of X, rather than, you know, it was knit in this and I used X yards of it. So I'm hoping that's the case. As I was knitting it, as I say, I got halfway through the cable repeat and I didn't have loads more repeats to do. And I had plenty left. So at least I know that. That was a lot of blather and me waving around a hat that doesn't exist. But yeah, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to risk it for a biscuit. I'm going to have a go at adapting the pattern. It'll be the first time I've actually done anything like that, really. I don't really mod patterns at all. I've talked about how I'm going to modify my bittersweet by doing stockinette sleeves over moss stitch, as inspired by Rachel of the Crafty Historian. I don't really consider that a modification because I'll be using all the same numbers and directions. I will just not be purling. So yeah, as I say, I'm going to risk it for a biscuit and see what happens. One final thing to show you. I am aware that the light is getting very yellowy, kind of pinky yellowy, a weird colour basically, and I'm sorry for it. There's not a lot I can do. There is only one more whip to show you, and I am going to try and get through these quite quickly because I'm aware that I'm losing the light. Welcome to autumn and winter in the podcasting world. It's ridiculous because I have actually got lights and they're just doing nothing. You will be delighted to hear that I have finished the Advent ball. I finished the Advent ball. I am so happy. It felt like it was going on forever. Like the closer I got to the end, the ball just didn't seem to get any smaller. It was driving me mad. But it is finished, it is in. I have done it in time for Advent this year. I am going to show you if I can find my progress keeper. Ah, there it is. This is where I was before, and I have finished the Advent yarn. It actually finished with this grey, I don't know if you can see the grey stripe, and I have attached my new magic ball, which is this big. Do you remember when my Advent yarn ball was this big? And it took me months to actually get through it. So yeah, I hope that I can get it done before Advent, because in my dreams I get a square knit on my Cozy Memories blanket a day, and I get a stripe put in my Cozy Stripes every day. But if wishes were horses, guys, you know? So I don't hold out much hope that I'm gonna have this done by Advent, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I set myself these silly little targets and I wave at them as they go by, and I really don't care. I promise you I am not like this in a professional capacity. I am very, very good in a professional capacity. And I think that's why in a personal capacity, how many times can I say that? But I think that's why in my personal life, I'm just like, meh, meh. If I don't get the green jumper done for this Christmas, it'll be done for next Christmas or the Christmas after. You know, this will be done eventually. You know, it's not, nobody's getting hurt. You know, if I don't get it done, nobody's standing in the rain waiting to meet me if I'm late. You know, it doesn't matter. There are no consequences. I'm the one that won't get a jumper or a blanket for Christmas. And I don't mind. I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. It's just not worth it. Particularly not when it's so lovely. Look how pretty it is. So many rainbows. So many rainbows. This makes me really happy. It is big enough to kind of curl up under while I work on it. It is my favourite brainless thing to reach for. And I promise that one day I will go into like what's been going on over the last few months. But you know when you're kind of in it and you don't want to talk about it as well. But yeah, this has been absolutely lovely to work on, and I really enjoy working on it, and I cannot wait to have it finished. But at the same time, I will miss it. I'm just trying to give you an idea of all the colours. I will miss it because it's fun to reach for and see like kind of how things crochet up as opposed to knit up, and it's just so pretty. I love it. It also smells really good. Very sheepy. I don't know if anyone else in the world apart from knitters actually goes, sheepy, but we all do. So there you go, gang. That is it for whips and hose. I nearly said foes, but that would have been a lie. Can you tell I'm going a bit quickly just to get ahead of the light? So I'm just like in a little race. And it's funny I should say that, because in Knit and Natter I will be talking about running. What I'm trying to say is that is it for knitting, yarn, crochet based content. I will be talking in Knit and Natter about the race that I recently run, which was the Royal Parks Half Marathon, and various other running exercisey things, as I had some questions around it. If that is not for you, I will see you very soon. I hope you have a lovely knitty couple of weeks, and I'll see you in the next episode. If you're sticking around, I'll see you in Knit and Natter. I ran the Royal Parks Half Marathon on the 13th of October. I have my medal, which is wooden, which I really, really like. I think that's a really nice kind of nod to sustainability. The whole race, actually, I really admired because they had tried to remove all plastic from it. The goodie bag was like a nylon, I think it was, so you could use it again and again and again. It's become a shopping bag. The medal, which I would grab, but it's hanging on my mirror and I don't really want to Smash that. So that's wooden, which again, awesome. And the first water station had water in these little like seaweed capsules so you bite into and then you could eat the seaweed. They'd run out by the time I got there, which was not ideal, but I thought that was pretty cool. And all of their cups further on were either compostable or recyclable. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is they really tried to make to lower their environmental impact, and I really appreciated that. I thought it was really cool. I'm going to be really honest and say that for a little while there I was disappointed with my performance in this race. Flashback to April, I did the Grand Union Canal half marathon. I did that in 2 hours and 32 minutes, and I wanted to shave a minute or two off of that in my next one, i.e. the Royal Parks, which I did a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, life got in the way a bit. I wasn't able to train as much, and then I had some knee pain. My knee was just a little bit tweaky, and then because of life and everything, it meant I didn't get time to go and see a physio. That is on me. I should have made time. I'm the person that sits here, has previously sat here and said, hey, you notice anything wrong, go and see someone. And I didn't follow my own advice. I'm gonna put my hands up. I didn't follow my own advice, and that was silly. However, it's fine. I'm not in any pain. It just doesn't feel quite right. So rest assured, I am going to see a physio. I have an appointment in the diary. I will be getting that sorted before doing any long runs. So the combination of my knee and the lack of training meant that I didn't beat my time, and I actually added 5 minutes. So I finished it in 2 hours and 37. And I was disappointed, and I didn't post about it on Instagram for a few days, maybe a week, because I just thought, oh, you've been talking about wanting to do this and wanting to improve and to shave time off your personal best, and you haven't done it, and you haven't done it in spectacular style. And then I just thought, actually, I barely trained for that second half marathon, and I had a sore knee. And for the first 5 miles, I was stuck very, very closely to the 2 hours 20 pacemaker, which was an achievement in itself, given that I barely trained. And it was only after that when I was like, my knee doesn't feel quite right, I'm gonna really pull back. And I walked for a little bit. Just finishing it actually in those circumstances was an achievement. In fact, just going to it was an achievement, because frankly, it was a horrible, cold, dark morning when I had to get up, and I didn't want to go. And I wanted to stay home, and I wanted to sit on the sofa and eat pizza and watch the TV, because that's just the mood that I was in. So it was a win that I went, and it's a win that I finished, and I am no longer disappointed in myself. I have just changed my thinking and looked at it in a different way and gone, actually, no, I'm really proud. I said that I would do 2 half marathons and a marathon hike this year, and I did it. I did all 3, and that is an achievement, and I'm incredibly proud of myself for having done that. I don't think I'm going to do any races next year. I think I mentioned this last episode. I'm going to set myself the challenge of doing 10-mile runs once a month and trying to get a little bit faster every time. Also just trying to find new routes, which gives me between now and the end of the year to get my knee looked at. I am very, very lucky that I used to work in a clinic, a musculoskeletal clinic, which is a mouthful. And so I know a lot of the physios and the osteos there. Because I'm hypermobile, I used to get quite regular treatment, and it's something I still keep an eye on, and they are very, very good, and they know me. I'm still friends with quite a few of them. So I feel very, very privileged that I have somewhere that I can go to that I feel very comfortable in, and with people that I feel very comfortable with. So feels weird to say that I'm looking forward to going. I'm looking forward to going to my physio appointment where he's going to put me through my paces. But I'm looking forward to getting this dealt with, because it's something that it has cleared up since my run. But when I go on longish walks, I'm a little bit like, my knee doesn't feel quite right. So I'm looking forward to getting that dealt with. And I'm looking forward to being in like tip-top shape for the new year, so I can start a new challenge. My like 12 10-milers. It needs a catchier name, but you know what I mean. I'm looking forward to starting the year off in as best condition as I can. Now, I asked for questions for the last giveaway I did, and there are a few questions that obviously there were quite a lot that didn't win, unfortunately, but I was able to group them all together, and as I said, I will be answering them over the course of the next few episodes. And I did have a few that were about running and or exercise, so I'm going to answer those today. First up is Skainster, who is a half marathon runner too. Just high five. Why do I keep doing this? Like, yay, it's weird. I'm sorry, but yeah. Side note, tangent. Anyway, but they asked, what is your favourite way to carry your phone while you run? I use the flip belt, but always looking for new suggestions. And what is your favourite brand of running shoes? It is funny you should ask, because I couldn't find my running belt ahead of my half marathon. So I wore my second favourite pair of leggings, which is the only pair I have with a zip pocket in. And I have never used the zip pocket. And yeah, I will never use it again because it's terrible. I put my phone in my pocket, zipped it up, ran maybe 10 paces and then had to stop and like shimmy them back up again. So I spent a lot of my half marathon shimmying them back up again. In fact, I probably spent 4 minutes of my half marathon shimmying them back up again. Let's blame the leggings for those 4 minutes. I just use a really bog standard Nike belt. I just clip it around my waist. I obviously found it a day or so after the half marathon. I ended up running with it in my hand quite a lot because this was driving me crazy. I have tried the armband. I didn't like it. It got all sweaty and I didn't like feeling like it was something on one arm but not the other. I felt kind of lopsided. I really like the running belt because you just clip it on and go. I also use wireless headphones so I don't feel like I'm getting all tangled, which is great. If you can get wireless headphones, please do it because it just makes your life so much easier. I don't really know much about running shoes, I'm going to be honest. I've always used Nikes previously just because they seem to be comfortable for me. I did get some ASICs last year. I really didn't like them. I went on a kind of medium run in them and they ended up having pinched a nerve, essentially. They were very, very solid shoes and just running in them had applied pressure where I didn't need pressure applied, apparently. They felt comfortable at the time, but it's just when I put them on again or a different kind of trainer on again, I was very aware that there was a damaged nerve. So I just haven't worn them since and I probably will be getting rid of them. However, I think that is probably more to do with very poor advice that I was given in the shop rather than the brand themselves. But it has burned me a little bit and I'm kind of not feeling like I would want to buy them again. I ran my most recent half marathon in New Balance trainers. They were very light, they were very cushiony, they felt great. I would definitely buy New Balance again as I would buy Nike again. The only thing I will say is that I got in my 2 last long runs in these trainers, the New Balance ones, I got a blister under my big toe on my left foot. And I'm not sure if that's because I've run a couple of half marathons in these and they've gone home a bit and they need to be replaced, or if it's my socks. Because I am not particularly fancy about my socks. I just get trainer socks. And I have noticed that some are better than others. The ones that I've, bought proper running trainer socks have been more cushiony and just better. So I'm kind of playing with that at the moment on shorter runs just to kind of see, is this a sock issue or do I just need new trainers? In fact, that's probably something I will speak to my physio about because he's, quite, I want to say exercisey, and that's not what I mean, athletic. So he's pretty good at all this stuff. So he'd be able to give me some fairly good advice about trainer mileage and so on and so forth. So I can't really speak to that, but I have enjoyed Nikes and New Balances. The other question I had was from Karja of Sweden, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. And they asked, do I do any special exercises besides running, which compensate for the time you spend knitting? I find that I'm usually able to keep off most problems as long as I do 10 minutes of yoga, mostly some kind of glorified stretching every day. Now, as I've alluded to, my exercise regime, which had been going great guns in kind of spring, summertime, hasn't been that great recently. I haven't really been pushing myself. I've been working from home a lot, so I'm not getting in like just daily walks, just because I'm, you know, I didn't realise how much exercise I got just by going to and from work. So I'm kind of trying to adjust to that now. And having done so much running, I'm kind of overrunning. Not overrunning, but I'm looking forward to not having to only run. And of course you don't, when you're training for these things, you don't have to only run. It's just I'm a little bit of a one-track mind kind of person, and I didn't have time in my week to do loads of things, so I just focused on my running. And now I'm really excited to try other things. So when I was younger, I did a lot of yoga and Pilates, which was amazing. My body particularly really responds very well to Pilates, and I really enjoy doing yoga. Mentally, it is very, very difficult to get me on a mat, and it takes a while for me to kind of feel the benefit, but by the end of the class or the video or whatever, I'm so happy to have done the yoga. So it is good for me, and I think the fact that I resist it so much means that I do need it. So yeah, I'm hoping to do more yoga and Pilates. That is particularly good for me because obviously I'm office bound, well, not office bound, I'm desk bound. I do a lot of writing and obviously knitting and spend a lot of time kind of hunched. So it is really nice to do things that pull my back and my shoulders back and kind of just stretch everything out. So that is something I will be doing more of. I used to do weightlifting and I really loved that because at one point I had really nice, like, you know, good emoji arms. So I'm going to do some more of that. So I'm basically hoping over the next few weeks, once I've got advice on my knee, I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm not seeing the physio until the 15th and I'm holding back on doing too much because I don't want to do anything wrong and make it worse. Because at the moment it's just a bit of discomfort and I don't want to make it actual pain. So with his advice, I am hoping to get back into weightlifting, to get back into regular yoga and Pilates, to get back into running, and maybe even do some swimming. But I'm going to be honest with you, the weather is appalling and I don't think I can face coming home with wet hair. Just can't face it right now. But yeah, I'm hoping to diversify what I do with my body at the gym and not just run. I'm also really intrigued to see if weightlifting, particularly stuff that will work on my core and my glutes, if that will have an impact on my speed. I'm sure it will, because if I get stronger thighs and bum muscles, those are the powerhouses when you run. And I'm really curious to see if I dedicate myself to that, if that will create speed improvements. So we will see. Can you tell I'm actually quite excited about this weird 10-mile challenge I'm setting myself? For me personally, if I was going to recommend any exercise to somebody, it would be Pilates. It is low impact. You know, you're not hitting a treadmill, you're not hitting the road and crashing away at your joints the way you do with running. But while it's low impact in that sense, it is hard. You know, they get you to do some really hard stuff and it focuses particularly on your core. And for me personally, I think that if you take care of your core, it will take care of you. So there you go. I have blathered on quite a lot today. And again, thank you for sticking with me. I know the lighting has left a lot to be desired this week. It hasn't got any darker outside, so I think sunset is a way off. It is a way off. But it's just so gloomy. It's just so gloomy. And I was thinking that I might pop out and do a little bit of Christmas shopping. But I don't think I will. I think I'll just stay in. It's just horrible out. It's horrible. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And I will see you in the next episode in a couple of weeks for another cup of tea. Take care. Bye.